So, tell us who you are and where you will be this time tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Steve. Normally at this time tomorrow, Monday morning, I would have cycled to work, I would have had a shower, got a nice cup of coffee, and I'd be sat at my desk working. This Monday, because of lockdown, I'll be working at home.
So that's where you'll be, but what would you be doing there at this time on a typical Monday?
Well, that's a very interesting question to ask me, Keith, and I'm really glad you've asked me. If you were to ask someone who was a doctor, a teacher, or a bus driver what they do, it's pretty obvious by their job title. But if I was to say I'm an engineer and I work in product lifecycle management software, it's not that obvious, is it? So let me give you a quick explanation. In the olden days, companies would design their products using those great big drawing boards and with paper and pencil. Nowadays we have computers, and that's really interesting because it means we can design a part in 3 dimensions. We can do things like load it and find out if the part's going to break before we actually make it. We can animate mechanisms, we can create assemblies, we can create assemblies of assemblies to make sure parts fit together, and we can create engineering toolpaths for CNC machines to actually make the part. Now I know that's getting really technical, and it's not really the time and place to go into technicalities, but just to explain that these things are really complex, and because they're complex, there's plenty of opportunity for things to go wrong and to get problems. So my job is to make things work. I'm the interface, if you like, between the customer and the programmer. So if a customer is finding that things don't work correctly, my job is first to try to make them work correctly, and ultimately to report a problem to our software developers to get the problem fixed and to manage that back to the customer.
So what's one of the challenges that you'll face this week?
Yes, challenges. I like that word, Keith, challenges. I've spoken a lot about problems, but really they are challenges. And when I talk to my colleagues, I always try to say, we don't get problems, we get challenges. It's a positive way of looking at problems. And if we don't get problems, we're not in work, because that's the job I do, is to solve problems, to make things work. So the challenges I have, first to see problems as challenges. Perhaps the challenge is to keep up with the new technology. It's a bit of a two-edged sword. It's good that things change because we don't get stagnant. It's good that we have challenges because it keeps us interested. But because things keep changing, it does make things difficult.
And finally, one last question. How can we pray for you this week?
Well, normally I wouldn't ask for prayer for my job because I don't have a job that has life-threatening responsibilities or consequences. I don't have to wear PPE. I don't even have to wear a suit and a tie. I don't have a long commute to work, and I have a good boss and a good team, and I work for a good company, which I'm proud to work for. So if I was to ask for prayer, I'd ask to be salt and light with the people I work with, and I think you know what I mean by that. It's not always easy when I don't have face-to-face contact with my colleagues and with my customers. It may look easy to work from home with a computer, and in some ways it is. Sometimes, though, you can have enough of looking at a computer screen. So please pray to be able to cope with that, and especially at busy and demanding times. Lastly, and probably most importantly, is motivation. God has given us intelligence and ingenuity to create this technology, and it can be used for good or bad, and it's not always appreciated. Our software is used in design and manufacture of cars, aeroplanes, ships, CT scanners, Formula One racing cars, wind turbines, super yachts, prosthetic limbs, Martian rovers, and medical technology. My frustration is that I'm a few steps back from where the technology is used. And I guess for myself and others in this similar situation is to keep being reminded that our work is some use to society and that it's appreciated.